Here's Biden's latest claim, which is pretty funny, actually. He claimed that he started supporting gay marriage in the United States when he saw two men kissing in Wilmington, Delaware in the early 1960s, because in the early 1960s in Wilmington, Delaware, that kind of thing happened all the time. Dudes were just making out everywhere. Here's Joe Biden.
I can remember exactly where my epiphany was.
Okay.
I hadn't thought much about it, to tell you the truth, and I was a senior in high school, and my dad was dropping me off. I remember about to get out of the car, and I looked to my right, and two well-dressed men in suits kissed each other. I mean, they gave each other a kiss. And then one looked like he was heading to the DuPont building, and one looked like he headed to the Hercules Corporation building. And I'll never forget, I turned and looked at my dad. He said, "Joey, it's simple. They love each other."
It's 1959 in Wilmington. Two men are just kissing each other on the street. And Joe Biden's dad, who sold used cars, said to him, "Joey, it's simple. They love each other." And of course, Nelson Mandela was in the car too, just kind of elevating the moral tone. What are the chances that Joe Biden would have thrown a beer bottle, a full beer bottle, at those dudes had they existed? Right around 100%, we would think. Obviously, it's a lie. And we know it's a lie, in fact, because Biden gave interviews, well, more recently than 60 years ago. He explained that actually he's totally opposed to gay marriage. And we have the tape. Here's Biden from 2006.
We already have a law, the Defense of Marriage Act, where we've all voted, not where I voted and others said, look, marriage is between a man and a woman, and states must respect that. Nobody's violated that law. There's been no challenge to that law. Why do we need a constitutional amendment? Marriage is between a man and a woman.
Well, he's mad. What kind of screaming nasty bigot do you think Joe Biden was 60 years ago? Chances of that are very, very high. In fact, 100%. Vince Coglianese hosts the Vince Coglianese Show in Washington, D.C., justifiably popular. He joins us tonight. So he was kind of a pioneer in the late 1950s on gay marriage, kind of. Joey, they love each other. What do you think of that, Vince?
They love each other. It only took him 50 years to work up the courage to stop being a regressive bigot and finally admit that in 2012. If we go back, he is interesting because he offered us a couple of interesting data points in this that demonstrate that this is a complete lie. And I saw the Washington Post fact checker tried to check this, and they said, we can't render any Pinocchios because there's just no way to prove it or disprove it. I will help you. Okay, I'm going to help the Washington Post now. In the audio that you just played, he claimed that he was being dropped off at high school in his senior year. That would be 1961, Archmere Academy. He sees two men kiss. He turns to his father, bewildered, and his father says, "They love each other, Joey." And then they stare at the men as they walk their separate ways, one to the DuPont building in Wilmington, Delaware, the other one to the Hercules building in Wilmington, Delaware. I have some landmarks for you to look at, and what I discovered is that the DuPont building is 7.1 miles away from his high school. So in other words, he was dropped off 7 miles away from high school. There's no way this happened. The Hercules building, for that matter, the version of it that's in Wilmington now was built in 1983. He's adding all sorts of details that help demonstrate that he's lying. And by the way, Tucker, he's told this story many times, but every time he adds new details. Sometimes he's the father in the story. Sometimes he's applying to become a lifeguard. Sometimes he's just sitting with his dad and having a grand old time, and they're watching the men kiss and learning about life. And I guess I was wondering if there is one, speaking as an Italian American, if there's a chance that this is true in this sense. Wilmington, Delaware is an Italian American place, or it has been in the past. Maybe he just saw two Italian American dudes kissing each other in 1961, a greeting between brothers, or the kiss of death, a la the Godfather Part 2, Michael Corleone saying, "I know it was you, Fredo," and he kissed him, both in a well-dressed suit.
But every story that Biden tells puts himself, of course, at the center of it. He's always the hero, fighting for civil rights in South Africa and Wilmington, Delaware, 60 years ago. But this seems to me like the behavior of someone who was actually kind of guilty about how he behaved in 1961 in Wilmington. Like, what are the chances that he was like the most prolific user of racial slurs?
There's
in
no
Wilmington, Delaware.
Question. Was Joe Biden retrograde in 1961? Absolutely. There's no question about it. His career involved his close relationship with segregationists and former members of the Ku Klux Klan. It's not like He was like some great enlightened thinker in 1960. You know, there's really something to this gay marriage thing. No, in congressional testimony, he suggested that gay people were a security risk to the country by being in the military, and that was much more recently than 1961.
No, he didn't say it's love. You know, the sad thing is that there are people who believe that. MSNBC viewers obviously believe anything. Sad. Vince, great to see you tonight. Thank you.
Nice to see you.